This is our first official podcast because we had many complaints about using AI, so we decided to...
You mean Terry?
Terry, yeah. So we decided to get there in person and try one, see how it goes. So today we've got Keith Stone. He's the original conceptual designer of Eldoria, and we'll talk about that later. Malcolm Owen, if you're familiar with Darringmore, he is St. Farwick, and Alex Spinaze. He's one of the younger generation starting off
the spawn.
in the sport. And I'm Angela Caffery. I do some co-designing with Keith in Eldoria and am responsible for all the videos. Sorry.
And Malcolm does wonderful maps.
So our first topic is, how did you get into role-playing?
Well, my role-playing days started really as a result of playing board games, and then accidentally I bought a board game that I thought was a board game, but it was a role-playing game, which was M.A.R. Barker's Temple of the... Tecumel, that's it, yeah. And from that, I didn't understand what it was, and then eventually, after about a year, we figured out it was a role-playing game, and then we got into D&D. And so for about a year, it was just myself, DMing another guy, and that was it.
So how old were you?
I would be about 20 at that stage.
I started playing role-playing in high school. The first game was Traveller.
How long did you play it for?
2.5 years. And then when I went to Griffith Uni, there was a gaming club there, and I started playing Call of Cthulhu and Paranoia. And
So you got into D&D much later?
I didn't get into D&D till I joined Tenelon.
Oh, okay.
So that was in the 90s?
Yeah, 90s.
90s.
80s.
Okay. And so was that a group of friends? Just uni friends?
Yes. So we started a club, and we played at the club. I did play fantasy because I played Middle-earth role-playing MERPs.
Mm-hmm. But not like the D&D was supposed to be the big one.
I didn't play D&D till I came to Tenelon.
What about you, Alex?
I've been playing role-playing games since I was in high school, I think, because I saw my family playing, and eventually I was allowed to play more than anything else. But that was Pathfinder 1. I don't think I started playing D&D until like 2.5 years ago.
I've hardly ever played the game. I'm always either GMing or designing. That first came about from there was a club, Queensland Science Fiction and Fantasy Society, that we joined, and I joined hoping to be able to play the game, but they find you a DM. DMs are always in short supply, so you end up GMing, and then you end up GMing for life, especially in a club circuit, because everyone knows you're GM and they ask you to run games.
I started out as a player, but...
I've mostly played. I've done a little bit of GMing, mostly just for one-shots or like short, like 3-session campaigns.
Yeah, a lot of friends of mine ended up doing, like Alex said, one-shot GMing, mainly running convention games that I'd written, and so people like Darren Catton, Joe Cena, people like that used to GM for me. Especially if we were running a game that required multiple DMs to put that number of groups through on a weekend. But still, that's me GMing. I've rarely played. I think I only played in a short campaign with Andrew White.
You played one of my games.
Which one was that?
There was a campaign. It was in Sard. Mm-hmm. It was set in Sard, yeah.
Yeah.
So it was only about 4 sessions.
Oh, okay. That's probably, yeah.
I first started role-playing with Keith. Mm-hmm. Actually, just before Keith, I remember a friend of ours, Michael, he came along to school with this box set, and it was the D&D original box set.
Oh, gee, I hope he's got that. He could sell it for a buck.
I don't know. And then we went over to my place, I think, and we opened it up, and there was like 12 people there, and we started to try and work out the game and play that, that original module
Yeah, I think there's a module that comes with
where
it.
it literally has the goblin sitting on the chest. That
Type module.
We went through that a few times, and I remember a friend of mine, Joanne, and we really liked it. The rest of the people played on and off. So that was a long time ago, back in the first box set. And all I really played is D&D until we swapped to Pathfinder about the time of Gen Con
you would have
Australia.
played other games, but there'd be one-off
Only,
modules.
yeah.
modules.
I'd play...
At conventions.
I played the other just at conventions, but just one off. And then Keith put up in one of the local shops a poster about role players or people with D&D want to get together. And it was when you went into the shop to buy your books and you got your GM guide and all that. And so my girlfriend and I came along, and there was about 100 people there, and we were the only two girls.
With that, I wasn't the one who proposed us up with that. That was
who was it?
That was Greg Lane and Roger Kerr.
Okay.
Yeah, I would have been advertising Tantalorn and things like that.
Oh, yeah, probably, yeah, that's not... And then, because Keith sort of started... I think the World Eldorian, we'll get on to that in the next session.
It did start at Queensland Fantasy Society.
Yeah, because we had all these people wanting to play D&D, and we thought we'd come up with...
Wasn't it a map on a buddy?
Yeah, Greg Lane had done a basic map of what looks now of Eldoria, and he knew I could do artwork. So he said, could you blow it up and make it a big A3 map?
We'll leave Keith right there. Sorry to interrupt him, but he's starting to get onto another topic of another podcast. I hope you enjoyed our first podcast. Obviously, we're very new to it, but we enjoyed talking about the early days. I'm sure you do too, but it'd be really interesting to see if you put a like, or actually in the comments below, tell us how you first started D&D. It's so interesting, the different ways people came into the game, and the fact that we're still in our 60s and still doing it.